And hello, fellow gamers. I am back yet again playing another game, and another NES game at that. This is Excitebike, one of the early releases on the NES. It was one of those that was released before Nintendo changed the form factor of their cartridges. As you may have noticed, there is two different kinds of NES cartridges, at least officially released ones. There are the ones where if you look at the end of it, which I could actually, how about I show you instead of just talking about it? If you look at the end of the cartridges, this is Bionic Commando. This is just what happened to be closest. You look at the end of the cartridge, and the later release cartridge, and the most common one, is the one that has the tabs on these corners right here. The earlier release cartridges, which were mostly just for the games that were released early in the system's lifetime, most of the later games were only released in cartridges that look like this, but the earlier ones were released with cartridges that didn't have tabs right there, and instead they had 5 screws on the back. There's absolutely no difference in the gameplay between those two types of cartridges, and indeed some of those games were released as both tab ones and 5-screw games, and Excitebike is one of those games. The version that I am playing happens to be a 5-screw game. Again, like I said, not that that's going to make any difference whatsoever. I've played quite a bit of this in my youth, so that's why this is a Jeremy Plays and not a Jeremy Tries. Basically, you play as a dirt bike rider seen in a side perspective, and this is the demo playing right now. And yes, there is more sound than this when the game is actually running. Not a whole lot, but there is more sound. And you just try to jump over the obstacles and not explode. So, oh shit, it happened to hit start right when the title screen was appearing. But okay, so there's 2 modes of play. There's mode A and B. A is when you're just playing by yourself, and B is when you're racing against, 3 computer opponents for a total of 4 dudes. So you get to pick your track. There's only 5 built into the game, and I'm just going to play through all of them. And so here we go. There's the steering in it is actually very easy. You just push up and down to shift lanes. You are always aligned with one of the 4 lanes. When you jump off of something, you can either push left to jump higher and sort of, ramp off of it. And when you're coming back down, you can push forward to kind of even out your descent. And that's beneficial because the flatter you are when you're coming down... Whoa, see, I pushed too far forward that time and fell off. That doesn't hurt you, though. That just increases your time. There's no lives or anything. But if you manage to land flat like that right there, then you don't bounce, you just keep going. And that's good because the bouncing can actually cost you some time. There's all kinds of obstacles on the course, mostly ramps of various kinds. You do also speed up a little bit whenever you ramp off of something well, so that's something to keep in mind. Anytime you're driving over grass, which is the green things, or those brown splotches right there, those are mud, you slow down, so that of course adds to your time. I managed to do better than the best time built into the cartridge, so I scored number 1. And if you do too poorly, then you eventually game over. There's 2 ways of controlling the bike as far as speed goes. Right now I've just been using the regular mode, which is just the A button. You're using the regular motor, and it's not making hideous amounts of noise. You can also use the turbo motor, which will give you a little bit of a speed boost, which now I'm using it. Notice my temperature going up down there at the bottom. You do not want that to get all the way up, because as soon as you do, then the game actually forces you to pull over and wait while the motor cools down. If you only use the A button motor, your temperature will never go up past halfway. But if you get behind, or you get stuck behind an obstacle or something, and you need to catch back up, you can flip on the turbo and give you a little bit of boost until you can catch back up. One of the other things you can drive over that I've been doing several times is those little arrow things written or drawn on the course. When you drive over those, they reduce your temperature. So if you're really far behind, you can use the turbo and hope that you hit a bunch of those arrows. That was still good enough for number 1. Surprising, since I'm not really good at racing games. So that was level 2. On to level 3. I don't know why I always stay in the top lane here. Possibly because if there's any ramps, then those are hard-coded to always be in the top 2 lanes. Those kind of ramps right there. Oh shit, see, I didn't hit that ramp properly. You can actually ramp off of both of those if you do it right. Shit. And if you're doing these things right, you can keep up enough speed going up one side of one and then land properly on the one after it to come down the other side and not lose much time or speed. If you push too far forward when you're trying to land, then you will actually, you know, tip over forward and crash that way. Also helpful to know is if you fall off of your bike and you are having to get back on, then you can tap the A button really fast to run back to your bike faster. Hey, Gevorg Mirageline has joined us again. Welcome. He says, this looks cool. This looks like a cool game. Yes, this is Excitebike, one of the few sports-ish games I actually enjoy. These little ones right here, you can just pull back and get over them without losing any speed. Which you can normally do too. You can wheelie like that by going back, but don't do it too long because then you'll flip over backwards and look stupid. Which is the price you pay for showboating. Shit. Get back on there. Oh, come on, game. That was such a bullshit way of fucking me. See, that right there, I probably do not want to take that upper ramp and instead take the little mountain thing that's just past it, because then I bet I'd get enough distance to actually clear that gap back there instead of landing in it and then having to drive across part of it. Of course, I don't get to fix that now because this is the last lap. And damn, that was good enough for 8th. That's a game over. I didn't place in the top 3. Gevorg Marashlian says, hey, when are you going to stream Banjo-Kazooie? Really looking forward to Freeze Easy Peak. It has been a few days since I've done Banjo-Kazooie, so I might get back to that soon. Possibly as my next stream, which is going to be on Monday. And for the people watching on the recording, for reference, today is Friday. I typically live stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at about 9 to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, except for tonight, where I had stuff going on at the time, so I'm actually streaming at about 11:30 or so. Did I pick the wrong level? I think I picked the wrong level to start with. Because this doesn't seem familiar. It's definitely not the same color palette as the level I was playing last. I think I might have unintentionally skipped it. Unless I actually got to level 5 and I've already played this level and I already forgot that I played this level. Oh, shit. That's another thing too, is if you're on an obstacle, whenever you dump, basically, you'll roll all the way over that obstacle until you hit flat ground again. And then you can get back on your bike, which is particularly troublesome if you're playing on, if you're trying to drive over that, like, that big ass mountain thing that takes up the entire screen. Okay, so that must have actually been level 3 that I was playing before that I didn't actually complete. Unless I'm now I am. Am I? Am I replaying the same level I was just playing? Like, does the game think that I just want to practice this level over and over? Do you have to start on level 1 if you want to play them all in sequence? It's looking that way. Let's see, I did the same thing again right there. Shit. Go. Almost did the same thing again right there. Did it just before dying. 6th. Gevorg Marashling says, I will definitely try not to miss it like I missed Bubblegloop Swamp till the end. I appreciate you tuning in at the time regardless. So what the hell, was I actually playing level 3 before? Yes, I was. I never actually completed this. So let's see if I can. I've established that I can do level 4 even though I am doing them out of order. Oop. I think I should probably be using the turbo almost exclusively on the long straightaways, just to give me that little extra boost. Or maybe using the turbo on the obstacles to get me over those faster and use the regular motor on the straightaways. Oh, see if I'm not doing the right thing right there. That's a 110 on that. Did a hell of a lot better that time. Yeah, and then it just starts me on this again. So it looks like I either have the choice to intentionally place badly to get back to the main menu and pick level 5, or get up and reset the game. And I don't feel like standing up right now, so I'm just going to kind of, still play so that you have something to look at, but I'm not going to focus on doing well too much. In fact, I'm going to start fucking around. And no running to the bike, no running to the bike. I technically could just sit in one place and not do anything. Let's drive across this whole damn thing. That'll take a while. Oh, here comes another one. Hey, Keelgust has joined us. He says, so this is a perfect speed run of Excitebike. Indeed it is a perfect anti-speed run. See, if you don't pull back on those little tiny obstacles like that, then you will wreck. It's possible you may get over them and be okay, but more likely you're going to wreck. Whoop, whoop. Bounced off my front wheel. I'm getting all fancy pants now. Whoop. Number 21. You know, I wonder if I can do so badly that I can place number 256th and thus overrun the maximum value for a byte and maybe make the game crash. Okay, so let's do level 5. Haven't seen that one yet. Or have we? I don't think so. Piss. That's not going to cut it. This big-ass mountain, that's the one I was talking about before. That's the one you put a ton of in when you want to fuck somebody. Just piss them off. Oh my god, so slow. Shit. Yeah, this is not happening. Oh, by the way, there is no way to land the finish line jump wrong, so you can do whatever the fuck you want. Anyway, that was level 5. I don't think I'm going to be clearing that. So, oh crap. I think I mistakenly told it that I wanted to play in mode A again. Okay, this time I am going to get up and reset the game, because I want to show you mode B. Show you how to play this game like a dick. So the levels are exactly the same as in mode A. You're still the red guy down at the bottom, but you're racing against all these other guys who are... Look at them, look at the fucking boost they get. But you can be a dick, like that. But somehow some of them still get ahead of you. Clearly they have some kind of teleportation technology. And that's what happens when you run into someone's back wheel. But you're not actually competing against them for placement still. You're still competing against the time. So even if they complete, even if it looks like they complete the finish before you, as long as you still have a good enough time, you'll still win. So really this isn't really competitive playing with them on the screen. It's more like they're just mobile obstacles. And then some of them they're not very smart at. Some of these jumps either. Like you see them, shit. Like you see them constantly dumping their bikes and being like me. So see, the other guy clearly got in front of me, but I still placed first because I was still better than the best time. So since this game was a 5-screw game and released early in the system's lifetime, this is basically a first-gen game, so pretty damn good for showing off what the NES could do at the time. I don't know if it uses any expansion chips inside the cartridge, and even if it does, it uses one of the really early ones, obviously. There were several generations of expansion chips used in NES cartridges, which is why some of the later games got so much more technically impressive. For example, Super Mario Bros. 3, or Kirby's Adventure. The first Super Mario Bros. Also came out as a 5-screw game, so I'm guessing that that means that the Super Mario Bros. In this game came out at about the same time, which means they probably, if they used expansion chips, they probably used the same one. Killigas says, quote, "Not competitive." He says, "Bullshit. Dominate, bro. I will dominate." I will turbo in these guys' faces, and I will crash into them, apparently. Oh, that was almost perfect the whole way. Ha! Run him over. So you have to avoid the obstacles, but still try and, smack them. Son of a dick busket. No, I don't know what I just said. Dick musket? Maybe? Oh, come on. Oh, penis. Wow, now it's still good enough. The tracks in this are actually really long. Gilgus says, "That tumble down the mountain. Yeah, you dead, son." Yeah, here in video game land, they have incredible health care. Basically, it's built into your body and instantly regenerates any damaged parts within fractions of a second after them being damaged. In fact, you can even get blown to bits with a bomb and reintegrate just fine. Maybe your hair will be messed up a little bit, but that'll be about it. Mofo. Now watch this. Ugh! Just completely stop and let him run into me. I was asking for it that time. Number 8. It's a Simpsons reference for you. Okay, so you've seen A and B. The other mode is Design. This is one of the games in the programmable series, as they were called. That's actually how it was labeled on the box. All of the early NES releases that came in a black box, so to speak, where it was mostly a black box and showed kind of a pixelated little graphic from the game on it. They also had a little classification logo in near one of the corners. There were various series. There was a light gun series, action series, and then there was also programmable series. And this was one of, I think, only 2 games that were in that series. The other one, I think, was Wrecking Crew. They both had a level creation mode and a built-in editor, which is what this is. And so with this, you can make your own levels. So oddly enough, though, even though it has the save and the load options right here, they don't actually work. And I think that's because those were holdovers from in Japan when this game was on the Famicom disk system, and which means the game was distributed on a disk that was rewritable, so the levels you design could actually be saved to the physical disk. This game does not actually have any battery-backed storage in it, so you can hit the save option, and I think it'll even look like it's worked, but when you hit load, it'll just sit there and freeze forever, because neither one of them work. But you can still design, though. So you go for a little ways automatically, and then the game stops you. And the point where your little biker dude is right there, you can insert obstacles from A to S on the bottom, which you select, like this. Oh, you hit A to advance a little bit. Hit B to insert the obstacle at that letter. So that's that. It gets a little bigger. Short and fat, like a former girlfriend. And then there's that and that. So it's a little rampier. The opposite one. And then there's one of those ramps. One of those little bitches. And one of those. One of those. And that. And one up there. And one down there. And then that's the bottom thingy. That's the top thingy. And then that's one of those. And that's the big ass mountain. And that is that big friggin' thing. So those are the options you get. You can put a bunch of those down in any order you want. It does not have unlimited memory, of course, so the course can only get so long. But you can pretty much do whatever you want within those constraints. So start with one of those things. That's nice, huh? If you really want to be a dick, you can just fill the whole course with these. Advance past it. And I'm going to go forward just a little bit and put a couple of those. Once you put down an obstacle like so, then you only tap A to automatically advance past the obstacle. After that, you hold A to give yourself a little space. This is something the game is fond of, putting a bunch of those in a row. And H, I know, is always that ramp right there. If you put those correct spacing apart, which that probably wasn't, then you can, bounce off those ramps continuously. See, what was that whole thing? No, it was cute. That one. Okay. It's a little bit, and then put one of those. Yeah, we're getting real dickish now. Where's the other? There's the other mud hole. I keep getting the buttons mixed up because I keep thinking that you push the A button to, confirm selection is the general accepted thing, but you don't. You hit the A button to advance a little bit. It's the B that actually inserts. The finish line is actually pre-programmed in at the maximum length that the course can be, or you can just decide to put it in whenever you feel like you're done. I think the CL option, if you put that in, you can use the CL to, clear to delete that. You put the finish in, and then you can control how many laps of that they have to do. You can go all the way up to 9 and be a real dick. I'm going to go with the game standard of 2. Or 3 because I pushed the buttons wrong. Okay, so now that level is in memory. And you can either clear it by hitting the reset down here. You can go back into, I think, design mode, and you can go back and re-edit what you were just doing. And then you can play in the normal A and B mode from the beginning. So watch them go apeshit on this. Watch me go apeshit on this. So at the time, this was a pretty cool thing, a game having a built-in editor. It's something that was not often done at the time because of cartridge and memory constraints, and it's still not a thing that's often done today. Usually if you want development tools for a particular game and or its associated engine, you either have to rely on hackers to reverse engineer the storage format of the game data and then create their own third-party tools to do it, as was the case with Doom. The Doom tools were never officially released until I think very recently. John Romero released them on his own site, which I'm not sure he was supposed to do, but he did it. So you either had to rely on third parties to create the tools, or you had to hope that the developer would include the tools for free, as was the case with Duke Nukem 3D, or you had to pay the developer extra for something like a development kit, and then you would get the tools. So overall, very cool that they actually put it in the game for free. Kiloga says of my previous performance, he says, number 8 participation award, which is the award that everybody gets for participating. Basically, you have to show up with somewhere within the general vicinity of the track, and they give you that. Kiloga says, I didn't know it had an edit mode. That's surprising, because I thought, like you and I sometimes made levels and then made the other person play them. So we made these really dickishly hard levels. Like, we'd fill them all with just nothing but those big-ass mountains back to back. Back in the day, Gamer says, I don't use save states. Neither do I. They have their place, though, but anyway. But if you have a Retron 5, you can make a course and save it. Yes, you can, because the Retron 5 does do save states. Also, if you download the game on, if you happen to have already downloaded it through WiiWare on the Wii, or the Wii Shop channel for the Wii U or the 3DS, actually, do those do save states? Because I know on WiiWare on the Wii, if I were to right now, if I were playing this on the Wii, and I hit the home button to bring up the, the overlay Wii menu, and then I hit the return to menu button, then it would do a save state for it right then. And so the next time I started up Excitebike from the Wii menu, it would start me up right here, and my level would still be in memory. Whether it still does implicit save states like that on the Wii U and the 3DS, I don't know, because I've never actually tried it. But yeah, those would be the official ways to save levels in this game. Or, get the game on a Famicom with a Famicom disk system. If you can find one that still works. Kilogas says, of us making levels and playing, he says, I also don't remember 2/3 of my childhood, so, yeah, well, me too. Okay, so that is that. I want to see if I can go back into design mode, and yes, it does. It allows me to go back in and change it. That's pretty cool. So if I wanted to instead, let's say, take out this middle mountain right here because I decided I don't like it, and it's now gone. Let's see if I put in something that's too big to actually fit. Then it overwrites the obstacles that were in its place. Doesn't clear anything after it. Just allows me to keep going. And then if I hit start, nothing happens. If I hit select, nothing happens. So you still have to advance all the way to the end of the course. Pretty easy, you just hold down the A button. You can once again edit the number of laps. There you go, that's that. Reset. Oh, that's how you reset the game. So that does that clear the track that was in memory? I thought that just cleared the track. Design. It does not clear the track. Interesting. So, yeah, I think that's it. I think I've shown you everything there is to show about this game. It's not a long game, which is why I selected it for tonight's stream since I was starting late. But anyway, yeah, end of recording. Hope you enjoyed watching, and hope to see you on the next recording where I will be playing something, possibly. So until then, I'll see you.